Fontana is having nightmares, and he's now convinced that he's being haunted by the ghost of his best friend that he murdered. So it comes out later that Fontana did, in fact, have a connection with the gang. He wasn't just some Joe Schmo off the street. He was, shall we say, attached to the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang. And that's probably why they decided that they were going to go after him. Trap Magaddino. So they tell Fontana to call Magaddino, and he is going to help to take down Magaddino and the rest of the good killers, or the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang. And as soon as Magaddino hands Fontana the money, a squad of undercover police officers swarmed in and detained Magaddino. Hey everybody! Welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for tuning in. Okay, so we are moving on with our video series centered around Stefano Magaddino. Now, when Fontana hears this, he decides that he's gonna go to the police. He goes into police headquarters, he's blubbering, making a big stink, freaking out, and the police abruptly turn him away and tell him to come back the next day. Now, the detective that's running the squad now, Detective Michael Fiaschetti, he already has somebody in custody in the office right now in relation to this murder. So he just really doesn't have time for this ranting and raving lunatic. He has Salvatore 𝐀𝐿𝐵 in custody right now. 𝐀𝐿𝐵 is the owner of the Riverview Inn, the hotel that Fontana and 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 had initially arrived at and began their duck hunt from. But remember, Salvatore 𝐀𝐿𝐵, he's more involved in this than, oh, I just own the inn. He's the reason that they originally went to this location in the first place. This is where they began their duck hunt from, but he's far from innocent. So now Fontana goes wild. He's like, absolutely not. I have people out here to kill me. You cannot turn me away. Absolutely not. So Fiaschetti is like, all right, fine. We'll get you a hotel for the night. We'll give you an armed guard so that this big bad band of killers can't do anything to you, and then you can come in tomorrow and give your full testimony. Now, according to Fiaschetti, he went to the hotel and watched over Fontana himself. So he is in this hotel with Fontana, and overnight, Fontana starts going wild. Fontana is having nightmares, and he's now convinced that he's being haunted by the ghost of his best friend that he murdered. And this is the first time that Fontana comes out and admits that he had committed a murder. Now, although Fontana was only involved in the murder of 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚, Fontana also informed police that the good killers, or the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang, were responsible for a string of other murders spanning the entire East Coast. And he confirmed that there was a minimum of 15 cold cases that police had not yet been able to solve that were linked to this group of the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang. As an immigrant that was living in the same neighborhood, he's just telling police stuff everybody in the neighborhood knows, but he knows better than anybody else. He confirmed to the police that the good killers that these guys have been hearing rumors about and had been looking for quite a while consisted of the leaders that were involved in sticking a pistol into his belly and telling him he had to kill his best friend. Consisted of Stefano Magaddino, 30 years old, Bartolo Di Gregorio, 32 years old, and Vito Bonventre, 46 years old, and those three come from Brooklyn. He also gave the name of 3 other members of the good killers that were located in Manhattan, and I'll put the actual addresses up here as well. He informed the police that Giuseppe Lombardi, at 41 years old, Mariano Galante, at 27 years old, and Francesco Puma, at 35 years old, were also involved in the planning of the murder of 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 and helped him dispose of the body. I don't think Galante was involved, but I do know that Lombardi and Puma were. Surprisingly, Joseph Bonanno and Gaspar Milazzo are not named in this confession from Fontana. It was only those 6. And I'm really surprised to hear that, but I'm guessing that those 2 guys either weren't involved in threatening him, or he was more scared of those guys than he was of Magaddino. I don't really know. So it comes out later that Fontana did, in fact, have a connection with the gang. He wasn't just some Joe Schmo off the street. He was, shall we say, attached to the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang. And that's probably why they decided that they were gonna go after him. You're gonna tell me that amidst this war that's been going on for like 20, 30 years at this point, you're a member of our gang, and your best friend is a member of the Bucolato gang? Are you freaking kidding me? Like, absolutely not. Immediate deletion. Bartolo Fontana knows these guys in Castellammare del Golfo. And he's close enough with them in Detroit that when the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 clan decides to move to New York, he comes along with them. So they're pretty freaking close. Like, he may not be in the gang, but he's someone that they know and trust and rely on. Now, Fontana goes and he admits that he has this relationship with the 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 gang, even though he had initially just acted like, oh, they were bullies, they found out that I was friends with 𝐃𝐚𝐧𝐚 and they stuck a gun in my belly. Like, no, he has to admit, like, okay, fine. Now, the police put together a plan, and this plan is to kind of trap Magaddino. So they tell Fontana to call Magaddino, and he is gonna help to take down Magaddino and the rest of the good killers, or the 𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 gang. They tell Fontana to tell Magaddino that he thinks that the cops are onto him, and he needs money to get out of town. Okay, so let me set the scene. The police set up a trap for Magaddino. They tell Fontana to call Magaddino and tell him that he thinks that the police are onto him and he needs to get the fuck out of Dodge. He needs some money to get out of town and start his life over again. Magaddino meets up with Fontana at Grand Central Station. Magaddino gave Fontana $30 and he told him to take that, buy a ticket, and go to Buffalo. And he told Fontana that once he got to Buffalo, his life would be set, he'd be okay. And on top of that, he told Fontana, like, hey, we've got like 500 grand sitting in a treasury somewhere. And if you are brought in for this murder, there's more than enough money to cover your legal expenses. We'll get you out of the charges, calm down, it's not that bad, I know it feels scary, but you're gonna be okay. I've got you. Like, I have your back, I will take care of this. He tells Fontana to take the $30, pay for a train to Buffalo, and that the chief there, who we know is Giuseppe DiCarlo, would ensure that he was well cared for. And that Magaddino had already let him know that Fontana was on his way and coming. So it's not like he was gonna just be showing up and be like, oh, hey, funny story. So, like, he wasn't just a complete piece of shit. Like, he set him up. And honestly now, at this point, I don't really believe Fontana's story at all. Like, oh yeah, he's just some poor little barber minding his business, and the good killers just attack him out of nowhere for no reason and force him to kill his best friend Camillo 𝐃𝐽𝐧𝐚. No, that's probably not what happened. Like, realistically, probably not what happens. And as soon as Magaddino hands Fontana the money, a squad of undercover police officers swarmed in and detained Magaddino. That's the end of my theoretical events of what happens, but I don't see it going any other way. Like, honestly, I don't see any possible world in which what Fontana said was true. I just don't see it. So, I don't know. You tell me what you think, but that's the way I can't see it playing out any other way. So as I said, Magaddino has been arrested. He hurls insults at Fontana as he's getting arrested. Like, you're gonna die, you're gonna pay for this. Like, of course he did. He just gave you money, set you up with a life in Buffalo, reassured your crazy ass that he was gonna take care of you, and then he gets arrested. Of course he's hurling insults at this man. Later on, Vito Bonventre and 4 additional gang members would be detained for their participation in this murder. So altogether, police arrested 6 men that were related to the Good Killers gang or the Bonventre gang, and they were all men that Fontana had named. As I said before though, I'm really surprised that Gaspar Milazzo wasn't named. Like, I get that Joseph Bonanno hadn't arrived to America yet, so obviously he wouldn't be named, but I'm really surprised that Gaspar Milazzo wasn't. So, I don't know. I don't think that they arrested every single person that was related to the Good Killers gang, but I'm guessing these are the guys that Fontana, like, ratted out. I don't know. Maybe they just couldn't justify bringing Gaspar Milazzo in, or maybe Milazzo had paid off someone super important and they like got an arrest warrant and that super important person was like, oh hell no. Like, these are the days of Tammany Hall. They were easy to pay off. It's entirely possible that Gaspar Milazzo just had better connections. Okay, so I don't really want to run you guys ragged with like a super long video, and to be completely honest, I have a lot of Thanksgiving prep to do and not really that much time to do it in. This week has been kind of a nightmare. Like, I have had construction going on in my house, and I've had Thanksgiving Day prep, and I'm really sorry to do this, but I'm gonna have to end this here. I feel like I got no information into this episode, so I'm really sorry, but I do have to end the episode here. Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to tune in next week for part 3 of Stefano Magaddino. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, follow, do all the things, and I'll see you next week. Bye.